This one's bad. I mean, really bad. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and over the years, we've all had moments where we've suggested trades that the Red Sox should make, or the trades that we think would make a ton of sense for the Red Sox. So you look back on and you go, thank God I'm not running this team because that would have been an awful idea. Well, at least I have. But this trade in particular may take the cake as one of the worst Red Sox trade proposals I've seen in a very long time. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break this trade down, talk about what makes it so bad and what it could ultimately mean for the Red Sox going into this year's deadline. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so the trade we were talking about today came from a place called Woodward Sports Network. It looks to be a sports company and website that covers all Michigan-based sports. And the trade that they had the Red Sox completing was to acquire Tarik Skubal from the Detroit Tigers, which on its own is a fantastic idea. Tarik Skubal is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball right now. So far throughout the season, he has a 2.41 ERA in 19 starts with a bit higher, but nothing super concerning, 2.57 FIP, and a way below 1 WHIP at 0.879. That is good for a 173 ERA plus, about 73% better than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's an absolute stud. If the season ended today, he is most likely the AL Cy Young winner, and on top of that, he isn't a free agent until the 2027 season, which gives whatever team has control over him 2.5 years with him as their starting pitcher. For the Sox, this could absolutely change the trajectory of this franchise, right? We talked about going into this year's deadline a couple of trades that would alter the Red Sox history, basically. Tarik Skubal is absolutely one of those guys. The actual target itself isn't the dumb idea in this trade. If Tarik Skubal is on the open market, it would absolutely behoove the Red Sox to, at the bare minimum, give the Detroit Tigers a call because he is everything this Red Sox rotation is missing. So it's not the actual target itself, but what makes this trade so dumb is what this sports network proposed coming back to the Tigers, because the actual trade itself was again Tarik Skubal to the Red Sox, but the Red Sox having to give up Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and Kyle Teel. Every single one of the Red Sox big three. So the first thing we need to do is look at what this would look like value-wise. Again, I say this every time, baseballtradevalues.com is not a perfect science. It is a good basis, though, as to what the sort of median price or median value of a player would be. For Tarik Skubal, that's about $100 million in value. For the Red Sox, they would be acquiring $100 million, but giving up Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and Kyle Teel would be giving up $138 million in value. Right off the bat, you're talking about a pretty major overpay. But the reason this trade is so dumb because there's no way in hell the Red Sox end up doing this. And to prove my point, we've got to go back in time a little bit. We got to take a look at the last time the Boston Red Sox made a blockbuster trade like this that would bring in a all-star left-handed pitcher. That would be back in 2016 going into the 2017 season when the Red Sox traded for Chris Sale. This wasn't a small trade. This was one of, if not the biggest trades the Red Sox have made in a very long time. It sent number 1 prospect for the Red Sox and the number 7 prospect in all baseball, Yoan Moncada, the Red Sox number 5 prospect, Michael Kopech, their number 8 prospect, Luis Alexander Basabe, and Victor Diaz, who is unranked, to the Chicago White Sox. This was an incredibly risky trade for the Boston Red Sox, but it was absolutely worth it. Scared money simply doesn't make money, but dumb money also doesn't make money either. The reason the Red Sox were so willing to give up so much in return for Chris Sale was because Chris Sale had a lengthy history of being one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. By the time the Red Sox had traded for him, Chris Sale was coming off his 5th All-Star appearance in a row, his 5th top 5 Cy Young finish in a row, and the 2nd season in a row that he had thrown over 200 innings. Not to mention, he was still on a team-friendly deal that kept him under control for a few more years. And for the Red Sox, that cost them one of their top 100 prospects. This trade proposal has the Red Sox giving up 3 of their top 100 prospects. Actually, all of their top 100 prospects, unless you're counting Baseball America, where they have Christian Campbell in there as well. Now, I know some people are going to say, Corbin, well, wait a second. That was back in 2016 going into 2017. That's basically ancient history at this point. Values of players change, the values of prospects change, and you're absolutely right. So let's take a look at another blockbuster deal and what it costs. Let's go to the Juan Soto trade back in 2022 that sent him from the Nationals to the San Diego Padres. Now, this is a deal that did have the San Diego Padres giving up 3 top 100 prospects, because diving into that trade a little bit, they sent over CJ Abrams, the number 9 prospect in Major League Baseball, Mackenzie Gore, the 86th prospect in Major League Baseball, Robert Haskell, the 37th prospect in Major League Baseball, James Wood, and Jarlin Susana, with Luke Voigt thrown in there. Again, this makes sense for a player like Juan Soto. Juan Soto was coming off of 3 seasons in a row where he finished second in Rookie of the Year voting. He was coming off of 2 top 5 finishes and 2 Silver Sluggers in a row, and on top of that, had played a majority of the season 3 years straight. Tarik Skubal would, according to this, cost about the same amount, yet has only 1 full year of true major league playing. He has been healthy for 1 full season. He has been over 100 innings just 3 times in 5 years, his maximum being 149 innings. He's already at 117 innings this season. And on top of that, this is the first year that Tarik Skubal would be in Cy Young consideration. We're talking about 3 top 100 prospects here for simply 1 year of a pretty solid pitcher. And again, this is nothing to do with Tarik Skubal himself. This would be an absolutely fantastic get for the Boston Red Sox. My problem with this trade is not the target itself, it's the assumption of what this would cost, and it's an indication as to what this deadline might mean for Boston. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Sox almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's take a look at what this could mean overall. Now look, at the end of the day, what this is a trade proposal by a publication who has no impact on what major league teams are going to end up doing, right? This is someone who covers Michigan sports, who really values Tarik Skubal and believes that they are worth 3 of the top 50 prospects in the entire sport, and that's totally fine, right? We all have trade proposals that end up being a little bit homer biased, especially on a Red Sox channel. I've been guilty of this as well. My problem is not with the trade itself, it's with what my biggest fear at this year's deadline is. Now, personally, I don't have a problem with the Red Sox potentially dipping in to the big 3 in their system. I think if the right opportunity comes along, they absolutely should consider moving one of those 3 prospects, especially with how well the major league team is performing this year, with guys who are going to be here for a very long period of time, right? Roman Anthony isn't a necessity at the big league level right now. It'd be fantastic to have him, but he isn't an absolute necessity. Neither is Marcelo Meyer. Honestly, Kyle Teel, with how Connor Wong is playing, they could get away with trading one of these guys and still having a successful major league team for years to come. If the right deal is put on the table, they absolutely should consider moving one of those guys. Guys like the Mariners putting up George Kirby. I would throw in one of the top 3 prospects, Tarik Skubal himself. If the Tigers really want to put him on the table, I would absolutely consider one of the big 3. Even Garrett Crochet, I would at least consider the idea of a top 3 prospect, although he's a bit of an echelon down from a George Kirby or a Tarik Skubal. But my fear with this is not the Red Sox trading one of the big 3. My fear with this is taking a massive risk, like giving away all of your big 3 players just to make a splash at this year's deadline. I've seen a lot of fans throw out there that they want to trade Roman Anthony or Marcelo Meyer, even Kyle Teel, because of where the Red Sox are at in this season. And again, if the right opportunity comes along, great. But for the most part, there's not many people out there that are going to be worth what the Red Sox would have to give up in order to get them. There's not really a 2016 Chris Sale out there on the deadline market right now, right? Chris Sale is a prime example of a pitcher that you would invest a top 3 or 4 of your top 10 prospects into, including your number 1 prospect in either Marcelo Meyer or Roman Anthony, depending on where you look. Right now, those guys are what, maybe 2 or 3 in the entire sport. And of those 2 or 3, how many of those are actually going to be available at this year's deadline? Maybe one if Major League Baseball is lucky, but realistically, Tarik Skubal's probably not going anywhere. George Kirby definitely isn't going anywhere. And the only other name I could think of, and I'm sure there are more, but the only other name I could think of is a really healthy Shane McClanahan, who's simply not healthy right now, or Sandy Alcantara, who's also not healthy right now, right? There's just simply no one out there, in my opinion, that's genuinely going to be worth trading one of those guys. Again, I understand the sentiment. Scared money doesn't make money, and eventually the Red Sox are going to have to make a move that makes them uncomfortable. That is scared money. But the other side of the coin here is, again, dumb money doesn't make money. And I think looking at what this trade could be and what this trade ultimately could mean for the deadline, the Red Sox putting up really any of their big 3 prospects for anyone that's outside really the top 5 Cy Young candidacy this season and consistently has proven they can do that over the last couple of years, to me, is teetering on the edge of dumb money, in my opinion. There's really not a candidate right now that you really can't get with your 4 through 10 prospects that you'd have to give up a top 3 prospect for. At this point in the year, I just don't see that happening, and I think a lot of fans are expecting the Red Sox to have to put up a guy like Roman Anthony or Marcel Meyer to get what they need to supplement this team, and I just don't think that's a realistic reason for them to part with one of these guys. Again, is it impossible? No, but I just think at the end of the day, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to go out there and blow up this farm system for someone who's a little bit unproven. Again, if Tarik Skubal signs a deal with Detroit tomorrow and in 2 years he's got 200 plus innings in 2 seasons and he's finished top 5 in Cy Young 3 different times, absolutely that's a different conversation. But right now, you're looking at a bunch of sort of unproven talent outside of George Kirby who's simply not going to be available, with the guys that are available at this year's deadline. And with the Red Sox current needs right now, I just don't see any realistic situation in which it's worth giving up any of your big 3 prospects. And that's my biggest fear with this deadline, is that fans are very willing to say, whoa, wait a second, let's just give them our best prospect just to get a frontline starter and compete this season. You can get a frontline starter, you can get a controllable starter without having to do that. And I think that's my biggest point. I'm not trying to rag on this network all that much. I think at the end of the day, they're Detroit Tigers fans who value Tarik Skubal. It is a really dumb trade, but I don't think that's the point of this video. The point I'm trying to make here is that I think it's a bit premature for the Red Sox to go out there and say, well, wait a second, we need to drop all of our hammers on the table to see what we can get on the open market. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. 1, is this the dumbest trade you've ever seen, or is there something out there that you think is worse? 2, am I right? Am I overreacting to this, or am I right that in saying that the Red Sox don't need to give up any of their best prospects to get what they need at this year's deadline? Let me know all your thoughts on what I think might be the dumbest Red Sox trade in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Sox almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button as well. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Don't forget, you can always get these episodes in podcast form if you want to listen instead of watch. All you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.